Those at utility companies like Kentucky Power say they've been preparing for Sunday's winter storm for quite some time.
So we're preparing, our trucks are ready. We're prepared if needed to bring in additional resources should the outages climb.
Cindy Wiseman, spokesperson for Kentucky Power, says winter weather can have a large impact on the business. So Kentucky Power has a team of individuals ready to assess outages and any damage left behind.
We're truly in a restoration event. We're an all hands on deck approach. So even though all of our employees aren't line personnel or service personnel, we're all involved. Just about every employee in Kentucky Power will be working storm restoration in some way.
Wiseman urges everyone to prepare an emergency kit in case you experience an outage in the upcoming days.
You need a couple fresh flashlights with good batteries. Make sure you have your devices charged when you know a storm is coming.
And Chris Cottle, Whitesburg City Manager, says if the power goes out and you have to rely on a generator, make sure you're using it correctly.
You need to put it at least 15 feet away from your house with the exhaust pointing away from your house because, you know, even if you set it outside and put it up against your house, it could still get in your house and cause problems.
Looking to prepare everyone for the next winter storm. Alyssa Williams, WYMT, Mountain News.
Cindy Wiseman at Kentucky Power says she encourages customers to follow their social media pages where they post updates on outages. She adds that Kentucky Power has a 24-hour call center you can contact if you experience any issues. We'll have that number on our website at WYMT.com. With the snow in the forecast, folks in Pikeville are out and about preparing for the worst. Many folks are getting their essentials like the usual milk and bread, but people are also preparing for power outages with other groceries, especially bottled water and canned goods. Many are also preparing by gathering gas or propane to stay warm. We spoke to folks on the street about how and why they are preparing for this weekend.
We're gonna go to Walmart to finish up, get the rest of the things we need here in a minute, get a couple cases of water and everything. Because I don't know how much snow it's supposed to be, but I heard it's supposed to be a good amount. So I just want to make sure I live up in the dorm, so I want to make sure our dorm at least is prepared.
Ragsdale, who is originally from Kansas, also says he's excited for the snow, but is worried about road conditions following the icy temps. We'll have more from him and others out preparing for the storm coming up tonight at 11. With that chance of ice on the way, road crews and transportation officials are getting ready for whatever Mother Nature may bring. WYMT's Chaz Jenkins has more on preparations.
Preparing for the worst, as Kentucky Transportation Cabinet officials have been in recovery mode.
Which means that we've been calibrating our equipment and inspecting it, making any necessary repairs, making sure we have enough salt to get us through the event.
For many local fire departments, it is all hands on deck.
We're going to have 3 firefighters here at all times, 24 hours a day for the next 4 days. Normally we don't do that, but in extreme emergencies, we tend to have people on staff.
Officials say they are worried the most about the potential for ice.
We may have to do more salting and less scraping if it's a layer of ice to give the salt a chance to melt before we try to scrape anything off.
If you do find yourself on the roads, be cautious for black ice.
You always want to turn into the spin. Do not apply your brakes, just accelerate as much as possible, and usually your vehicle will sustain itself, it'll come back.
Always pushing the golden rule of severe weather.
Best advice is just to stay at home, if at all possible. Don't get out unless you absolutely have to.
Ready to go for any amount of snow. Chaz Jenkins, WYMT Mountain News.
Elkins says they plan to have crews ready in each of their 10 counties around 6 a.m. tomorrow morning. Legendary Wildcat men's basketball head coach Joe B. Hall has died. We spoke with fans across Eastern Kentucky to see what Coach Hall's legacy left on them.
And, you know, if you went to all the games, he's always there. You know, there's always somebody you can always point at to your kids, you know, hey, this is Joe B. Remember him?
Coach Calipari says we're the golden standard of basketball. I think Joe Hall started that. Kentucky being a first-class act, you know, around Kentucky and around the nation.
Seemed like a great guy. I met him one time at the state tournament, and just a genuine, you know, Kentucky boy that got the chance to coach the Wildcats. And, you don't see that a lot, especially not anymore.
Fans who made the trip to Lexington to watch the Wildcats had a chance to honor Coach Hall. Our sports director, John Lowe, joins us now from Rupp Arena with more.
Good evening. I'm coming to you from Rupp Arena in Lexington. A different kind of Kentucky Wildcat Saturday here in Lexington. One of rivals and one of celebration. Legendary head coach Joe B. Hall, a Kentuckian to the very core, died this morning at the age of 93, a man who grew up just a handful of miles north of Lexington in Cynthiana. He played for Kentucky, was an assistant to Coach Adolph Rupp, who put the Wildcats on the map. In 1972, he was selected for the impossible task of replacing a legend, a titan in this sport, and he delivered, bringing the Kentucky Wildcats 3 trips to the Final Four and a national championship in 1978. He solidified that the greatness of Kentucky basketball should not and would not end with Adolph Rupp. Then after retirement, becoming such a big part of Big Blue Nation, the fans that made the trip out to Rupp Arena celebrating his life. His jersey was the only one lit in the rafters this afternoon, and everyone in the building holding a moment of silence for him. Here's what Coach John Calipari had to say after the loss of a very dear friend of him and all of us.
The greatest thing in all this, he knew what people thought and how much he was appreciated and beloved before he passed. He knew. And our fans have been so great to him.
Now, of course, there was still a game to play here in Rupp Arena, and what a game it was. The Tennessee Volunteers coming to town and the Wildcats getting the 107-79 win. I'll have more on the game itself and post-game reaction from players and coaches coming up a little bit later this evening in sports. But for now, in Lexington, John Lowe, WYMT Mountain News.
Given the severe weather we may be facing tomorrow, the 2022 WYMT Fishing Expo presented by Pittsburgh Marine is ending early. The event coordinators say out of an abundance of caution, the vendors have agreed to close tonight after the event ends at 7 p.m. Despite the news, co-owner of Backwater Outfitters, Lexington, Kentucky, Brad Myers says this year's expo was a success.
We had a ton of people here. There was a lot of people come through. We got to see some people that we didn't see last year. So it was a great crowd last night. This morning's been a little slower coming through.
Myers says that they have been participating in the expo since it began. He adds they're looking forward to the next one. The Kentucky candle factory destroyed by the Mayfield tornado will not be rebuilt. 8 employees of Mayfield Consumer Products candle factory died in the tornado. Some workers filed a class action suit against their employer, alleging they were not allowed to seek shelter during the storm. With the Mayfield plant closing, some of the 501 employees will be offered new jobs at another location about 10 miles away. But it's estimated that at least 250 candle employees will be laid off permanently. Republican Glenn Youngkin was sworn in as Virginia governor on Saturday. Makes him the first Republican governor in the state since 2010. Youngkin has never held public office before. He defeated Democrat Terry McAuliffe in the November gubernatorial election. Youngkin has criticized the impact of how racism is taught in public schools and touted protecting qualified immunity for law enforcement officers. Coming up, the CDC no longer recommends cloth masks to fight COVID, but they're saying we should be wearing instead.
Well, we are watching out for our next weather maker on Sunday. I got all those details on timing and snow totals coming up.